creepy stories. Things like an abnormally tall, gaunt freak with no facial features who kidnaps children, spaces lurking behind the stage of this world, places you can never escape once you're trapped, and so on. Stories that conjure pure terror through their setup and lore alone, even if none of it's real. Urban legends spun purely out of curiosity and fascination. Those are horror stories. Enjoying horror is baked into human nature, and since I'm human too, I got hooked on these horror stories by pure chance. I wasn't some die-hard fan or anything, but I knew enough to understand what it was. It was pretty fun, surprisingly. Some were monstrous forces capable of obliterating everything just by existing. Some were transcendent beings beyond human comprehension. Some were laws etched into the fabric of the world, like the physical phenomena humans blindly worship. Some were superhumans, others spiritual phenomena, or beings from outer space. And some things were so powerful that they shattered the human mind simply by being perceived. In the face of these, humanity was utterly powerless, reduced to flailing desperately just to survive. That helplessness bred fear and dread. Yet, humans were creatures wired to find thrill and ecstasy in such scenarios. That was one of the big reasons why people devoured these horror stories. After messing around on the wide web for a while, I came across a suspicious URL. After clicking on it, it brought me to the really strange site. It didn't have a proper name, but people called the members the Faction of the Celestial Chorus. Kind of a fancy name, I guess. They had some really weird posts on there too. No, seriously. In fact, let me read you some of them. This was a thread I recently encountered on whether suffering is instruction or punishment. Quote, "If suffering teaches, why do children suffer before they can understand the lesson?" Reply, "You assume understanding is required for instruction." Reply, "Or you assume the lesson is for the one who suffers." Reply, "Then suffering becomes a message sent through a victim that implies intention." Reply, "It implies meaning. Intention is your addition." Reply, "If there is no intention, then suffering is random. If it is random, it cannot teach." Reply, "You are still thinking of teaching as explanation. Consider transformation instead." Reply, "Transformation into what?" Reply, "Into something that asks this question." This thread continues. Here's another example. The shape of truth in a lying world. Truth does not change, only the angle from which it is viewed. Reply, "That's convenient. Means you can never be wrong, just misunderstood." Reply, "You are not wrong, you're incomplete." Reply, "That's the same thing, just dressed nicer." Reply, "No, one condemns, the other invites." Reply, "If truth is constant, why do revelations contradict each other across time?" Reply, "They do not contradict, they converge beyond your current horizon." Reply, "That sounds like an excuse for inconsistency." Reply, "It is an invitation to move." Anyway, you get the point. There are some crazy posts on this site, and they have some pretty interesting stories to tell. So, I kind of became a fan of just reading posts and sometimes even making posts myself. Another reason I stayed? Well, just messing around with the lore they were spouting all the time was fun as hell. It's like wide web LARPing? But I guess it was fun only because it's all made up. You see, a roller coaster lets you scream your lungs out because it's safe. Tell someone it'll derail seconds after takeoff, though? No more fun screams. Fear and dread stop being games and turn into raw survival instincts the moment safety is off the table. Horror stories stay fun entertainment only as long as they remain fiction. But who actually worries about that? What if the fiction bleeds into reality? I sure didn't. Not until that moment. Wait a second. Why is the moon blue? Not until I looked up at the sky. I forgot about the cigarette I was smoking and stared blankly at the moon hanging in the sky. Why is the moon blue? The drizzling rain pelted my face. The smoking area next to the recycling bin had an awning, but there was nothing I could do about the raindrops carried by the night breeze. Strange. According to the laws of stories, the moon's color and number were proof of another world. But mistaking fiction for reality was an early symptom of schizophrenia, and since I didn't have any mental illness, it was just a natural phenomenon. Come to think of it, I saw a red moon once before. Back then, I'd been so amazed that I searched it up and learned it was caused by light scattering in the atmosphere. Probably the same reason here. I lit another cigarette and searched for blue moon on my phone. Right before I did, knowledge from an old thread I'd read suddenly came to mind. In that thread, one of those celestial chorus guys was talking about what would happen if the blue moon targeted you. It was better to just give up and die. Sometimes it was faster and easier to just start over and to solve the problem. With that thought, I checked the search results for blue moon, and they were just as expected. Moons that actually emit blue light can appear when the concentration of dust in the atmosphere increases due to volcanic eruptions or large forest fires. Damn fine dust. Looks like I'll die of lung disease because of the fine dust before my time comes. Huh? On my way back inside, after finishing my cigarette, I spotted an earthworm that had been stepped on and crushed by someone. Even with its body split open, it was wriggling desperately to survive. The sight was both gruesome and pitiful. I stepped on it. Sorry. After confirming a piece of the worm stuck to my shoe sole, I apologized and headed back to my room. With such a vivid blue moon, there should be some buzz online, right? I checked various communities for reactions, but not a single post about the blue moon existed anywhere. Maybe it's just visible in our area. Is our neighborhood the only one with this much dust? On a whim, I tried to post a question, but I couldn't write anymore. Your ID is banned. Ban duration, 99,999 hours. Reason? Trolling. This ID is banned for 999 days. Reason? Malicious posts. As I'd have expected, no community had lifted my bans. Trolling? I only posted healthy debates and my personal thoughts. Everyone else does the same to use communities, don't they? Why are the mods so strict only with me? Guess I'll have to check there after a long time. Time to use a computer instead of my phone. I got out of bed, turned on my PC, and logged into a community made up of multiple boards. You know it. Celestial Chorus. Restricted here too. Well, damn. Is this corruption of power? I'd heard that board admins were unpaid volunteers, regular users given admin rights by site operators. Normally, Work ethic depends on compensation. So why did they work so hard for free? Probably got a taste for power, and I was one of its victims. Well, I decided to check a random post for now. This unfamiliar board was rather new on the site. It had a lot of people and was active. Crazy. God damn it, stop posting shit. Half the active posts, however, were repulsive content. New boards getting terrorized, I guess. Corpses from accidents or bodies killed by drug cartels. Filth like urine, feces, food waste, and photos catering to sexual tastes outside the norm. Business as usual on the internet, I suppose. As I read through the terror posts one by one, a thought suddenly struck me. Everything here is just digital data. All we receive is visual information. It can't actually harm us in any way. In other words, we can feel emotions similar to real contact, just from images constructed by zeros and ones. It's not real, but it feels real, and our society despises those who treat the unreal as real. The prime example being shut-ins. We mock, scorn, and ignore how they love and adore unrealistic beings from anime or comics. The difference between anime, comics, and photos is just between reality and depiction. So, what if people drew these hated photos as illustrations and posted them? They'd probably hate them just the same. Just as a shut-in pours affection into drawn characters, people would pour rage and disgust into gross art. There's no difference between normal people and shut-ins, just a difference in interests. Why did this problem arise? Because of humanity's base instinct to find social weaklings and assert superiority? Or is it the bullying culture, born from discrimination against shut-ins after horrific kidnappings, and now is being spread online? Or maybe the black and white thinkers who see the world in binaries rampant on the internet? Could be all of it. The Buddha once said, "All arises from the mind." This hatred towards shut-ins doesn't come from them being hateful. It's from our own desire to hate them. Same with gross pictures. Digital photos made of zeros and ones have no substance, yet they hugely impact our minds as if they are real. It's no different from my mind stirring at empty space. Form is not different from emptiness. Emptiness is not different from form. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Everything depends on the mind. I've gained another lesson today. I couldn't keep this wisdom to myself. Time to post. I saved the gross pics from this gallery art, including gross pics that will make it easier to understand. Just posting gross pictures is terrorism, but as reference material to enlighten others and elevate debate as a true debater, gross pictures become teaching aids, so it's fine. Like how stripping in public is indecent exposure, but if it's art, there's no punishment. Next, I drew illustrations of the gross pictures too. I attached both the pictures and drawings to my draft post. Is the world empty? What's real and what's fake? On hate of shut-ins, digital terrorism, and defining digital versus reality. By writer I Am the Debater, 6'9". I posted and waited. After 10 minutes, plenty of time for people to read, they'd leave comments with their thoughts. Let's check. ID banned by online manager Celestial Chorus member 007. Ban duration 9,999 years. Reason? Spreading gross pictures and spouting nonsense. Well, shit. Banned from yet another board on the site. Just by luck. The moon's blue again today. 2 days in a row. I've been wandering communities since yesterday, looking for a new haven. So this phenomenon made even less sense. No mentions of the blue moon anywhere. I smoked and searched diligently on my phone, but still, nothing about a blue moon. Damn, modern pagers are good. Huh. How does it split so perfectly in half? It kinda looks like a waffle. Unbelievable stories filled the feeds instead. Half moon? That post was a photo from 10 minutes ago. How long it's been since nationwide clear weather. No fine dust, no rain, great for evening strolls. Comments were all about that. I looked up at the sky again. Blue full moon, and raindrops hitting my face in the night breeze. Nothing matched. Could it be? A crazy thought, but I recalled the first time I saw the blue moon. The first thing that came to mind wasn't a natural phenomenon. It was the blue moon mysterious phenomena from a certain thread I read on the site. Huh. It was a site filled with stories I'd once enjoyed, and the blue moon was one brought up semi-regularly. Could it be? My next thought was, have I transmigrated? But no, my body was the same, my home was unchanged, the world was unaltered. Then, are these stories real? Insane idea. Reality and fiction must be separated. No chance this madness was true. But curiosity led me to check the old site again. The first prominent boards from those celestial chorus guys. It was pretty popular as a post back then. But the board was gone. I'd been banned from all similar boards on the site around half a year ago and kinda lost interest in the creepy stories. So maybe it closed down in the meantime. I searched it up, but I didn't find anything. What the hell? Even the PDFs I had saved on my phone were all gone. I looked up at the sky again. The blue moon was brighter and larger than yesterday. This is crazy. But if... I stubbed out my cigarette in the ashtray. On the way in, I stepped on another earthworm in the studio entrance. If that blue moon is the one I know, 2 this time. In 5 days, I'll become a mass murderer. You see, the reason I became interested in the stories from that site was, well, because it was kind of funny. I don't really know how to explain it. They were mysterious, interesting horror stories, and I felt like I found like-minded individuals when I read posts on the site. I looked up anything I could on that old board, but I couldn't find anything. Man, what am I gonna do? Well, shit. It was after I was abandoned by all the other communities that I made some headway. Well, I sat down and ruminated. If that thing is real, and all those accounts are real, then I need to do something. I wrote down all the information I knew on the blue moon in my notebook. Thinking only in my head is like oil floating on water. It changes shape, so writing it down solidifies the form. Mysterious entity, blue moon. This mysterious phenomena is visible only to its victim. It appears as a blue full moon, initially only at night, but becomes visible during the day as time passes. It lasts for a total of 7 days, and as time goes on, the victim is consumed by madness, ultimately becoming a mass murderer in a bad end. Judging by the current situation, I was definitely marked as one of its victims. At least, under the assumption that I haven't gone mad. However, every one of those strange entities brought up on the site had its own way of dealing with them. Since these impossible entities were pretty much impossible to destroy, the only thing we could do was avoid them or temporarily overcome. And there were some reports about how to survive the blue moon. Theories, maybe. I wrote them down. The first method to survive against the blue moon was to have incredible willpower. If I were to use game terminology, you had to raise your mental strength to 80 or higher to overcome the madness with brute force. I immediately crossed it out. Raising mental strength to 80 or higher was impossible. Normal methods couldn't get it past 70, and going beyond required help from other powerful creatures or something like that. It was described by other users too. Above all, high mental strength isn't always a good thing. Over 60 mental strength, shall we say, and people around you would treat you like a great philosopher. Apparently, if you had a mental strength like 70, for example, they treat you like a saint. If it was over 80, you'd be like the pinnacle of humanity. And from 90, well, anyway, 80 was the pinnacle of humanity's level, if I were to give it a number. Something my real-life self couldn't achieve. I was just an ordinary guy. I didn't have that high mental strength, and even with the knowledge of the stories, reaching that in 5 days was impossible. Below that, I wrote the next countermeasure. The second method to maybe survive the blue moon is to perhaps ask another great entity to help escape from it. But all of those entities mentioned on the site were dangerous to humans, like radiation, which has no feelings towards humans but causes death just by existing. These mysterious beings' danger doesn't change regardless of what it thinks of humans. However, among some of these strange beings, there are many that could be friendly to humans, maybe. The problem is, I have no way to find these entities if they're even real. For all I know, I could be having a crazy schizophrenic episode. I crossed that one out too. Right away, I wrote the next solution. The third method to escape the blue moon, the easiest, fastest, and currently the only method. After a slight edit, I wrote the answer. Commit suicide. Suicide before being consumed by madness. I stared blankly at the answer, then crossed it out the same way. Whether those things from the stories had become reality, or I'd just gone mad, or some unimaginable phenomenon was occurring, one thing was certain. Experience is the parent of the self, the nourishment that fattens the soul. I wouldn't get a chance to have this experience again, and I wouldn't miss it. A great opportunity to experience what madness truly is. I strolled the streets under an umbrella in the drizzling rain. Everything was the same as the usual world, but I could feel subtle gazes directed at me. Mom, is it raining now? Huh? No. Then why is that uncle using an umbrella? That's a parasol. It's for blocking sunlight. I understood the mother's kind reply to her child, but this was just a regular umbrella. The rain's heavy, huh? In the rain visible and felt only by me, I cautiously looked up at the sky. The blue moon, larger than before, hung in the sky, gazing down at me. Just one day had passed, yet I could see the blue moon even though it wasn't night. What does the falling rain mean? When you become a victim of this mysterious creature, you change over time and see things. Apparently you hallucinate. Sometimes rivers of blood appear, or all faces become identical, or frogs rain from the sky. All are symbolic representations of madness. Other users analyzed it as likely manifesting the inner madness. Humans are 10 people, 10 colors, so madness is 2. It's natural it changes every time, and I could understand my current situation. But is my madness just this much? The blue moon in the daytime sky and falling rain. Such a bland madness. And the periodic madness of stepping on earthworms. Sorry. The crushed earthworms writhed like they were dancing. This made 6 today already. Even paying attention while walking, I'd snap out of it, and they'd already be underfoot. I wandered all day like that, but there were no further changes. It was the same peaceful village as always. Such peace. Only 4 days left now. A mass murderer who would shatter this peace would appear in 4 days, and that would be me. What would the news say? A big headline about a stabbing spree? Suspect, 25-year-old unemployed male. High school dropout, addicted to games, mistaking reality for a game, commits mass murder. If they investigated me more, maybe something like this. The path of a knowledge thief who sneaks into top universities for lectures as a hobby, turning into a murderer. Shut-in, living off of parents' insurance money, goes on a stabbing rampage in rage when the cash runs out. Well, let's head in. On the way home, I stepped on 10 more earthworms. Finally, 3 days until becoming a mass murderer. Now the earthworms are completely covered everywhere. I couldn't avoid them, even if I wanted to, so I stepped on them as I walked. The blue moon in the sky had grown even larger than yesterday, looking like it will crash into the earth at any moment. Hello? Hello? The people on the street were no longer human. They looked human on the outside, but as if filled with earthworms under their skin, they leaked out from hollow facial features. Hello? Hello? Was this just how it felt to me? Did their worm-filled skin and parrot-like repetition only seem that way to me, while reality was normal people? So the blue moon's madness manipulates the 5 senses to create illusions? I didn't know. If so, it was better to call it hallucinations rather than madness. Hello? A pack of cigarettes, please. Hello? Words didn't get through, but actions were fine, and they seemed to hear me normally enough to buy things at the very least. 3 more packs, please. It might not work tomorrow, so it's better to stock up now. 2 days until becoming a mass murderer. The world was no longer the one I knew. Blue indeed. The blue moon, occupying half the sky, emitted light in place of the sun, dyeing the world entirely blue, and the all-blue world was terrifying to walk through, overgrown with bizarre plants. Are those blue sunflowers? Like earthworms. After observing the plants closely, I put up my umbrella and headed out. The rain was stickier and heavier than before, but with no wind, the umbrella sufficed. Hello, 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 hello. People had become monsters, half human, half earthworm, brazenly strolling the streets and greeting each other. It was pretty funny. Hello? Hello! Let's sightsee a bit more. I took the bus and circled the city. Worm humans filled it to the brim, and worm-like plants covered the buildings. Hello? But even that day, I didn't feel much impact. Finally, the day I become a mass murderer, I could experience something impossible through normal means. Amazing. The blue moon filling the sky shone even more blue, filling the world with blue. Strangely, though, my brain perceived the blue not as blue, but as red. I was experiencing a quantum superposition, like in science, perceiving the blue visually as blue while also as red. Is this mental corruption? I put up my umbrella and went outside. I waded through earthworms piling up to my ankles, and the rain was so fierce the umbrella was useless now. Let it hit me as I go. I tossed the umbrella in a trash can. On the way, the people I encountered were gigantic earthworms, some standing rigidly upright, others crawling. Good Lord! Could standing rigidly upright and crawling coexist? But there was no other way to describe them. And finally, the moment I had been waiting for arrived. It's bad today. Actually, ever since the blue moon appeared during the day, my emotions had started changing. Seeing earthworms filled me with disgust, a desire to tear them apart, like becoming an earthworm hater. It started as mild irritation, but grew over time, and now a boiling desire to rip them to shreds and devour them surged, as if earthworms were my arch nemesis, as if earthworms were bugs that shouldn't exist in the world. Ah, so this is how it is. And that was the end. Bland. The madness from the blue moon wasn't really that impressive. Shall I smoke one before heading in? Even if the world looked like this to me alone, I couldn't just smoke anywhere. I was heading back to my one room when the sky rumbled. O thou human, lowly mortal, earthly worm, eternal weed, embodiment of unattainable greed. The blue moon was watching me. The blue moon was asking me. The blue moon, covered in countless, tens, billions, trillions, innumerable eyes and mouths. What art thou? What a profound question. Depending on how you define humanity, whether you believe in souls, whether you base it on the self, it's a very philosophical one. Hello? I only had one thing to say. My name's Alvin. Nice to meet you. Aloe Venus. Its mouth opened. Not just one mouth, but countless mouths, each spewing their own words. Noble friend, elf friend, wise friend, Aethelwine, Elfwine, innumerable meaning. When a crowd speaks, distinguishing the words is no easy task, but the blue moon's voice imprinted itself on the mind with crystal clarity, in every language. Remarkable. How did you know when I never told you? Pure curiosity prompted the question, but the blue moon offered no reply. You, Aloe Venus Orsini, son of Barthok Orsini, son of Madeline Orsini, grandson of Margram Orsini, grandson of Hestus Orsini. Why are you unscathed? Then allow me to ask in turn, shouldn't I be unscathed? You, one-eyed, destroyer of the sixth dimension, thorn in Romano's side, nightmare of Mariam, Starfeller. My interest is the expansion of small universes, the realization of the self, and now I borrow the two-eyed gaze, if only for a moment. My curiosity was sated. From the nostalgic names it kept reciting, it seemed the blue moon could peer into a person's life. Facts the other users never revealed. Did it always have such power? Or is it my imagination? Huh. The beings of a gamified reality surpass the imagination of those who perceive it. It was only natural that these supreme entities beyond human comprehension would exceed human imagination. A one-eyed, beholding the two-eyed world, should naturally be dazzled. Creatures unadapted to the brilliance reject the light and fear the unknown. Yet you stand unchanged. Why? As you said, perhaps because I am two-eyed. You, poison bloomer, non-picky eater, 127,642nd spiciest food survivor, straight wisdom tooth grower, never ingrown toe-nailed. You are no two-eyed. The eyes on the blue moon, which had been casting glances in all directions as if surveying the world, suddenly fixed on me. Had you been two-eyed, I would have known. In 60 countless, the two-eyed among the creatures I have seen are few, but their small universes are beautiful and unforgettable. You are no two-eyed. The sounds of the world vanished. Thus, you, pitiful creature, inscrutable being, floating speck, purposeless life, pathless wanderer, I shall grant you an eye. A searing pain erupted in my right eye. Prove if you are one-eyed or two-eyed. Something writhed along my optic nerve, burrowing into my brain. Invisible, yet I knew it was an earthworm. The agony of it churning through my mind was a novel, unpleasant freshness, the first of its kind in my life. When the pain finally subsided, I saw two worlds. My left eye beheld the original world. My right eye beheld the world of the blue moon. Hello? Hello? In the right-eyed world, earthworms wriggled towards me. Are you okay? Is something wrong? In the left-eyed world, people approached with concern. Remarkable. Gazing upon them stirred a tumult of emotions, like paints splashed across my heart. Pity for a roadside beggar, rage at a child killer, overwhelming awe at a newborn, sympathy for a young animal awaiting rescue in a rain-soaked cardboard box. All these feelings surged and mingled within me, culminating in, so pitiful, let's kill them. Killing them would save them. I didn't know why I arrived at that conclusion. All I knew was that I could redeem them through death. Excuse me, can you hear me? I reached out towards the human before me. Kill it. No knife, so strangle it. No, bash its head with a rock. There's a good one right there. But what if it flees while I fetch it? No problem. Kill someone else then. Whether one knew the blue moon or not, the surging inner urge rivaled the starvation-driven craving for food before one's eyes, akin to the instincts to breathe. Yes, and so I reached out. I'm fine, no need to worry. I grabbed the person's shoulder and smiled. After shooing the people away, I wandered the streets. A sudden craving for a cigarette hit me. After hunting down a smoking area, I finally lit one. Who are you? As I smoked, the blue moon ceaselessly addressed me. What are you? Do you not wish to bestow mercy? Those were emotions no mere creature could endure. Do you not understand my words? I shall speak in terms you can grasp. By the time my cigarette burnt out, the blue moon's disparate mouths unified. Why did you not kill them? The question was mundanely banal, despite the resounding force that shook the world. An ant cannot resist the current. The two-eyed eye granted to the one-eyed is a flood from a breached levee. You creatures have no choice but to be swept along. Yet I yearn for a miracle within. It wasn't emotion. It was instinct. My will. An action that must be taken. I wish for the ant to become a fish and swim, a bird and fly. You are not. You are one-eyed. Even with the eye bestowed, you remain one-eyed. Thus, I ask once more. But necessity didn't demand it be done. Thus, I ask once more. You, knowledge thief, finger pointed by kin, desireless thief, finger pointed from beyond the screen, walker of all paths, who are you? For the second time, I answered the blue moon's question. I'm human. Its mouths became ears, as if determined not to miss a word. An animal, hoping for rationality. A being craving true knowledge. A mortal striving to practice benevolence. An ephemeral entity maintaining the self amid the five aggregates. A creation seeking to love others without reserve. I tossed out the burned-out butt and lit a fresh cigarette. I sought to live humanely, so I set my own standards of right and wrong. Killing them was wrong, so I refrained, even if it was a torrent pushing against myself. It had been ages since someone listened to my tale without curses or prejudice. I grew animated. Modern folk claim humans are beasts, instincts unstoppable. But no, amid the barrage of war, scientists starved yet preserved seeds for the nation's future, refusing to eat them. Firefighters plunge into promised death. Humans are beasts, yet reason sets them free. That's all I did. You, human, sage, fool, mortal, genius, what do you wish to do? Nothing grand. My life's goal has always been singular. To live humanely. What matter of life is death? Never ceasing to learn, loving others, living rationally, embracing change, moving forward. The pain in my right eye faded. You are a two-eyed, wearing the guise of a one-eyed. A first, a one-eyed who is two-eyed. I bestow praise upon you. A foreign sensation returned to my right eye, though painless this time. A delightful encounter after so long. Wait, what is it? Before it vanished entirely, I asked, why do you do this? The blue moon's mouths opened in unison. Because I love you all. Because I pity you. Because you are precious. Because I wish to care for you. Because you are beautiful. Words utterly at odds with its actions. Bestowing mercy upon you is my hobby. With that, the blue moon vanished completely. I scanned the space with only my right eye open, but it was gone. Mercy, huh? I finished my second cigarette and lit a third. The emotion from that first right eye was indeed mercy. The pity for every visible soul might be what the blue moon feels for humanity. Euthanasia. Merciful killing to end suffering. Knowing a world of survival of the fittest, I could understand the blue moon's actions. Still, that didn't mean I could accept them. Entities are dangerous, friendly or not. These mysterious beings beyond humanity, they're real. You learn something new every day. Exhausted mentally after returning home, I turned in early. But why did I survive unscathed? The blue moon is a transcendent entity. The ways to survive it: servitude of another entity, avoid it entirely. Or, in game terms, raise one's mental fortitude above 80. Normally, you can't even exceed 70. That's why over 70 earns one the status of a sage. Over 80, the pinnacle of humanity. Without reaching humanity's peak, it's said that the blue moon's effect is inescapable. That's what the other celestial chorus guys were saying. A sudden hypothesis struck. Another way to escape, even without peak humanity. Someone once mentioned, overdoing it backfires. Mental fortitude exceeding 90. Too low, and madness consumes you. Too high, and madness ends it differently. A being whose mental fortitude has surpassed human limits. The world recognizes you. A mysterious being wielding psychokinesis through will alone, as a mysterious entity. Yet such power is too much for a human. They will eventually become a madman and depart from the world. I chuckled despite myself. I'm no madman. Fatigue closed my eyes. An ordinary guy like me could never have something like that. I opened my eyes again, reaching towards the ceiling. I imagined flames, telekinesis on objects. Nothing happened. No psychokinesis either. Now that I've learned that these mysterious entities mentioned on the site might be real, a decision loomed. Keep surviving, or die now. Among the posts brought up from these celestial chorus folk, there were entities like the blue moon around, ones inflicting unimaginable mental or physical torment. These things can destroy the entire world, and perhaps even beyond. Even quiet living risks death by entanglement. Death as respite is only possible now. Should I buy a rope? On the way out, a drizzle fell. Real rain this time. Confirming umbrella-toting passers-bys, I turned to fetch mine and crushed a crawling earthworm. A real one. It writhed for life, luckily reaching grass and vanishing. Sorry. Live or die? Earthworms regenerate strongly, but the damage might be fatal. Sometimes acting on instinct isn't so bad. Surrendering might be wise, but you don't know till you try. Becoming an earthworm and wriggling might not be so bad after all.